Hey guys, it's Tahira and today I'm doing my June wrap up. So June was a pretty standard reading month for me. I read a total of 6 books, which I feel like is more than normal for me because I am on I guess my summer break before I start my new job in August. So yeah, I've definitely been reading more, but I also have been watching a lot of Netflix, so I feel like I'm not reading as much as I truly have wanted to, but I feel like 6 books is not too bad. I'm gonna try something new this time and do a little bit of a, not like stats of the month, but sort of just a genre breakdown and like the number of pages that I read, just to see like, I think it'd be interesting to see like what my genre breakdown is each month, like what genres I've been reading, and like how many pages I've been reading, because I've never really counted that before. So yeah, I have them on for this one I'm looking down. But in the month of June, so as I said, I read a total of 6 books. 2 of those were fantasy romance. One of them was just general romance. One of them was a general contemporary fiction. I had 1 thriller and 1 dystopian / historical fantasy. I didn't really know what to categorize that as, and combining all the books together, I read a total of 2,447 pages. So as you can see with the genre breakdown, I actually didn't read I read pretty much a variety of genres. Like I didn't read an overwhelming majority of like any one genre. I guess fantasy romance was more than anything else, but everything else was pretty much evenly split. So I haven't really been like drawn towards a certain genre lately. I've just been kind of reading, I guess, books that I've been hyped, books I've been seeing online, books that I have gathered over the past few months. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start talking about the books that I read in June. The first one that I finished was a reread, and that was my reread of A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas. This one I of course gave 5 out of 5 stars. I really loved this. I absolutely love all of Sarah J Maas's books, but this book in particular I really love. I think it's probably one of my favorite ones. And I was like, because I've been rereading it, I really noticed that the writing in this book was leagues above the first one. As I said, like last time, I don't even know when I read the first book, like when I reread it, but in my wrap up, I think I talked about how I could really tell how much her writing has improved since then, because it wasn't terrible, but it just wasn't up to par with how she writes now. But this one I could definitely see a major improvement from the first one, and I really enjoyed the story and the characters, and I am now really excited to get to my reread of Echo War, which I haven't gotten to yet, but I really want to. So yeah, nothing really a lot to say about this one, but of course give it 5 out of 5 stars. I'm not counting it in my 5 stars of the year because I feel like rereads don't count. When I say that, I usually mean new books, but yeah, of course this one's 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this one. The next book that I read is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. This is actually one of my sister's books, but I was looking for like a fun, quick romance book, and she recommended this one, so I picked it up because of that. I also read this in my mood reading video. I'll link that one down below as well, where I was just reading books based on what I felt like. So this one was one of them that I read, and I gave this one 4 stars. I actually really enjoyed it, surprisingly. For some reason I thought I wouldn't love it as much, also because I was in a little bit of, not a slump, but just a slump with books that I was really enjoying. So this was definitely a surprise for me, but I ended up enjoying it a lot. I really loved the 2 characters, Annie and Will. This one follows a girl named Annie, or I guess a woman, since this is an adult book, she went on a bad date, and the bad date like went terribly. The guy ended up saying that she was really boring, and then she meets Will, she's like known for a bit, but Will is her sister-in-law's bodyguard, because her sister-in-law is like a pop star and Will is her bodyguard, and so she kind of uses him as a practice person. So basically practice going on dates, what it's like to like talk on a date, just to get like more comfortable with that, because she's not really used to doing that and feels a little bit awkward. So she uses him to sort of get into her comfort zone with things like that. But obviously as they end up doing that, they end up like discovering their real feelings for each other, and their dynamic with that was really cute. I loved Will as a love interest, because he was just so caring and super nice to her, and just like always listening to her and what she was saying, and it was just a really great relationship between them. I would love to read about Annie and Will more in the future. Honestly, if there was more books about them, I would totally pick them up. I know this is the first or the second one in like an interconnected standalone series, I think, called When in Rome. And I have not read that one yet, but I want to after reading this one. I don't know if I'll like that one as much just because of the tropes, but we'll see. I'm still excited to pick it up. I have it on hold at the library. The one thing I didn't love about this book is that sometimes the characters felt a little bit juvenile in the way that they talked and sort of interacted with each other, because I'm pretty sure these people are meant to be in their 30s, but they just didn't really act like that. I don't know, I feel like they read a little bit younger on paper, so that's why I ended up giving a little bit lower rating. But overall, I absolutely loved this book and thought it was super cute. The next book is another one I read for that mood reading video, and that is Never Lie by Frida McFadden. This one I ended up giving, I think, like 3.5 stars. Frida McFadden is a sort of new to me author that I have discovered this year, and I found that I really love her, like her way of writing, like really quick and twisty stories. And although her writing isn't like super amazing and I haven't found a 5-star from her yet, I find that I really enjoy the fast-paced nature of her books, and just if I want like a quick fun read, I'll definitely will repeatedly go back to her. But yeah, Never Lie is about this couple, and they're going to this house to sort of like house hunting, and they go to this house which used to belong to this psychiatrist lady who like died slash disappeared slash like no one really knows what happened to her. So they go and they end up like getting snowed in, so they have to stay there for the night, and like creepy stuff starts happening. For this one, I actually really enjoyed the setting. The setting was actually really creepy because of this like house setting that was there, which usually books don't creep me out, but this one actually did creep me out. And I was like, actually, maybe it was because I was reading at night at like 1 a.m, but I was like actually feeling creeped out by it. I was like thinking someone's gonna come in my room and something was gonna happen. But overall, I really enjoyed the setting because of that. Some of the things I did not end up liking too much was the sort of there's like one major reveal that happens at the end of the book, and after that there's like a series of smaller reveals. But I will say the major reveal did shock me. I did not know why I didn't see it coming, but it did shock me. And then the smaller reveals after that, I don't know, they didn't shock me as much, and honestly I didn't care for some reason. And also like the big major reveal was like, I don't know if I can talk about this, but since it's a spoiler, I'm trying not to be spoilery. I'm not gonna say anything, but it wasn't super, for me, like it wasn't super believable. And it was shocking for sure, but a lot of it didn't make sense to me. So for that reason, I am giving this like a little bit of a lower rating than like 4 or 5 stars. But overall, I really enjoyed it. It was again a fun, fast-paced read, and Frida McFadden is definitely an author that I will continue reading from. The next one I read is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I am not sure if I read that in the video too or not, but this one is about a girl named Emma, and she it sort of follows her life from high school, where she meets this guy named Jesse, and sort of shows them growing up, getting married, and building a life together. And then suddenly Jesse dies because of this like helicopter accident that was happening. And so a couple of years after she like grieves him and everything, she ends up meeting Sam, who is this other guy from her school that like sort of liked her, but she never liked him. And her and Sam end up hitting it off again, and they end up getting engaged. And as soon as they get engaged, Jesse somehow randomly shows up again. He's like, I'm not dead, guys. So now Emma's like, she doesn't know which guy is the right one, because one, you have Jesse, which is like the one she was married to, she was in love with, that she had built a life with, and then Sam, who she had found new comfort in after the death of Jesse. So she sort of is battling this throughout the rest of the book, and the story sort of follows her story and journey. I will say I liked the writing in this. I found it enjoyable, but the story was just so stressful to me. Like it was really sad and stressful, and I was like, I did not know what I would do in this situation, because like imagine this happening to you. Like I literally don't know what I'd be doing. I also like although I like the writing style, I didn't love how the way it was written with because it's like sort of showing the present timeline, which is with Jesse and Sam and Emma, and then it's sort of going back to flashbacks of showing sort of a summary slash highlight reel of each of their relationships. And some of that felt a little slow to me, although I understand why it was there, just to like build up the characters a little more and show their backstory. It was a little bit slow to me at times, and I don't know, it just kind of felt weird with the way that those were like highlight reels and we were just basically jumping in time for those flashbacks, but then present it was going the normal speed. So it was a little like up and down and jarring because of that. Another thing was that Jesse was literally, we come to find out that he's literally stranded at sea for like I want to say 2 to 3 years maybe, and he's literally on this little island and he has to survive on there for 2 years by himself. He's alone and isolated, and he comes back and he seemed so normal. Like literally we see Emma go and she literally meets him from the time he steps out of the plane from when he arrives back into town, and he seems perfectly normal and he wants to like pick things up back from like where they had left off. And he like, it didn't seem like he had any trauma. He had a couple of physical injuries, but other than that it didn't really seem like, because I feel like being isolated for 2 years on an island will definitely like mess you up in the head, and he just seemed way too normal for me to like, I don't know, accept that he had been isolated for 2 years. And then there's this thing where Emma and Jesse sort of go on this like trip together and to figure stuff out, and in the end it only takes 3 days, like this weekend, for them to figure stuff out. And I'm like, this is not how life works. Like, it doesn't take a weekend to figure your whole life out after this situation in this book. So that was a little bit like not realistic as well, a little bit too much of a trying to wrap everything up neatly type of thing. But overall I gave it 3 stars. I didn't hate it, I didn't love it. I'm glad that I read it, and I think the writing was good, so I enjoyed like reading it, but I don't know, just the story felt a little bit unrealistic at times. This was also the first book that I read from her backlist, because I had read Malibu Rising and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones and the Six, and I really loved all of them, so I wanted to pick up her contemporary books. But I don't know, I feel like I like her newer like historical contemporary better than this, but I will maybe definitely give this a shot, like more of her books in the future, but this one was just a little bit of a miss for me. The next book is The Walled City by Ryan Groudon. I read this for a reading the oldest books on my TBR video, which I have not read yet or not posted yet, so I will be talking more about this book in that video, so I won't be talking too much. But I ended up really enjoying this. I gave it 4 stars, and I guess I'll just kind of leave it at that. I'll explain more of my thoughts in that video, but I ended up enjoying it, so a win for me in this season of no 5 stars. And then the last book is Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli, which I'm reading for a fantasy romance video, which is also not posted yet. So I won't be talking about this too much as well, but I will say this one was also like a 4-star romance for me. I really enjoyed it. I ate it up. I thought the dynamic between them was really great. This one is about a witch hunter and a witch, and they basically end up together and they kind of have to hide secrets from each other. But I will leave you at that for my thoughts. But overall I really enjoyed it. But yeah, that is it for all the books I read in June. Definitely a wide variety of books that I read. I've read a few fantasy, I've read a few contemporary, romance, like a bunch of different genres. So we'll see how July ends up turning out. But yeah, let me know down below what's your favorite book you read in the month of June, as of course I would love to know. But that is it for this video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!